Okay, folks, welcome into another edition of the Sixth Floor podcast. I'm Yap. I got my hair done. There's Johnson in the upper left, Sags in the lower left, and Breeze in the lower right. Gentlemen, shall we do this? This was Sags' topic this week. And Sags, would you like to fill the folks in on your choice?
Sure. So I was you actually introduced me to this person, not physically, like just showed me, had me listen to his albums. And he's probably all time my favorite hip hop artist. He's been going strong since 83-ish, 84-ish. So I thought we'd go through and pick the best LL Cool J songs from the 80s. We did include Mama Said Knock You Out, even though it was released in 1990. That gave us just another disc to kind of pick from. And instead of 3 albums, we now had 4. So it gave us a little bit of flexibility.
Okay. And do you have the draft order?
I did not randomize the order. So if somebody has one handy, if they would like to do that, that would be fine.
I'd like to go first.
Okay, so Breeze can go first. Who wants to go second? All right, I'll go second.
All right. I'll go last.
Okay.
That's fine. So
John.
Breeze, Yap, Johnson, me.
Yes. So from Breeze, we're going counterclockwise.
On your radio dial.
Yep.
That would be correct. For those of you scoring at home.
And those of you that are alone.
If you're all...
All right. So are we ready?
No, wait. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, regular listeners to the show will know that we'll know that a couple weeks ago we did kind of a deep dive on Eddie Money, and we explored some of his songs from the 80s. And, we were talking about it, and we realized how many great songs he had that a lot of people, associate him with maybe 1 or 2 songs. But, as we showed, he had quite a few great songs for a couple of decades. And so that was kind of my thought, too, as well. Like, because when you first think about LL Cool J, at least for me, is that you think of him as being an 80s rapper. And you think maybe, obviously, Mama Said Knock You Out, and, some of his other, Big Old Butt, maybe a few other songs of his that were big hits. A couple of his, like, kind of rap ballad kind of things that you would call kind of quote unquote kind of love song that were pretty big. But when I was going through and listening to all his songs, it's like, man, there's a lot more in his catalog than what I'd originally kind of had in my mind. And so it was kind of fun for me to kind of go back and re-listen to a lot of those old songs and say, oh, yeah, I remember that one. So it was kind of that same kind of vibe we had with Eddie Money, where like maybe you forgot about some of those really good songs that you liked, and you just kind of forgot about them because you hadn't heard them in a long time. And so this turned out to be a lot more enjoyable than what I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to be able to struggle kind of putting together a list of my songs, but I've got 15 songs here that I can choose from that I feel pretty good about, that I enjoyed listening to. So with that said, with my first pick, also, if you remember from a couple weeks ago, I said there were a couple types of songs that I really liked and had a soft spot in my head. Anybody remember what those were?
I wasn't paying attention.
What?
I'm not paying attention now.
Not only do I remember, I think I can guess what your number 1 pick is going to be.
Yeah. Okay. Well, a couple weeks ago, I said any song that's about Los Angeles or California was going to be a song that went straight to my heart. And that's the way it is with LL Cool J. He had a song about California. And that was actually the first song, I think, now that I think back on it, that was probably the first song where I was introduced to him, was this song. And there's just not anything I can say about this song. This song is so great. I love it. I listen to it today still. There's a great horn section in there. His cadence as he's rapping is just very appealing to me. And I mean, it's great rap song. So with my first pick, LL Cool J is Going Back to Cali from Walking with a Panther in 1989.
Good song.
Yeah.
Very good song. Well, I think we'll be saying that a lot in this draft, right? Very good song, great song, that kind of a thing. I'm going to go back even before that, because the first song that really caught my attention with LL Cool J and Sags, I think I may even have called you and said, man, you got to hear this song, or you called me. I don't know. I know we talked about the song. That's the bottom line. I mean, it starts off and you got all kinds of, police noises and you got the give me that walkie-talkie. I think that was my favorite part of the song. But I mean, he starts off and he just comes right out at you. No rapper can rap like I can. I take a muscle-bound man and put his face in the sand. I mean, come on. I mean, that's a rap song right there, if I've ever heard one. So I'm going back to Bigger and Deffer from 1987, LL Cool J's I'm Bad. My favorite song from LL Cool J.
Yeah, you, I don't know if you called me or whatever, but I remember in your car, you're like, man, you got to listen to this. And you played it, and there's two lines that got me. The best one, I think, is when he says, forget Oreos, eat Cool J cookies. And I was like, that's the greatest song I've ever heard in my life. And that song is actually what got me on to LL. I went out and bought the tape, the cassette, shortly thereafter, and literally wore that thing out. So yeah, Bad was a unbelievable song.
Did you go buy that at B&K Tapes and Records in Ripley?
I probably either that, or it was one of my 17 accounts I got on the KTEL thing and the TV Guide. That I never bought any other tapes. I just got the free 40 that they sent you. I don't know how they stayed in business so long.
All right, so I guess I'm up.
Yes, sir.
All right. Out of the four of us, there's no question I'm the least qualified to go real deep with LL Cool J. Saying that, I like him. I think he's not only a talented musician, I think he's transcended that. I mean, he's a talented actor. I mean, he's a good spokesman he's very well spoken. So I think his talents and his skills go beyond music. Saying that, I mean, this is not my wheelhouse. This isn't the type of music I listen to as frequently as other music. Doesn't mean I don't like it. It's just not what I listen to a lot. I will say, I know this is Sags' wheelhouse, and I mean, ever since we've known each other, I've known you lean in this direction, and for you to say that you think he is your favorite hip hop artist of all time, that does carry weight with me, and that makes me want to go revisit some of the stuff I don't know from LL Cool J, because I mean, your opinion on this subject has equity with me. So,
thank you.
Whatever that means.
Not a lot, I guess.
But I do know a handful of songs. I'm going to say one because I have a feeling that it may still come back to me, one of his bigger hits. But I've always liked the song "Rock the Bells," and like I said, I'm not going to be able to explain why I like some of these songs, other than I just like them. So I pass. I pass my time to you, sir. But Rock the
Bells is a good song, man.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, sometimes you don't really need to explain why you like the song. I mean, it just hits you, you like it, and you just like it.
Yep. No, I agree. And Rock the Bells was, one of his better ones. I mean, they're all good, but like it was off Radio, his first album, and you could definitely tell if you listen to the progression in just this 4-disc, timeline. you can really almost hear him grow from radio to Mama Said Knock You Out. It's really, I guess, impressive, I guess, if you want to say. But so my favorite song is it's I Need Love. That's what I'm going with my number one pick. It's off Bad. And he tried 2 love songs on radio. 3 if you count Dear Yvette, but probably not the best love song. But he tried 2 on radio, and you could tell they were just almost written by like a kid, so to speak, and they just didn't hit. But I Need Love on Bad, first of all, it was crazy for a hip hop artist to do a love song. That was just not going on in the 80s at all. So for him to put that out as a single was pretty bold. And he nailed it. It's a great song. Again, I've been listening to him all week, these 4 albums, just kind of pick my favorite one. And so going to go with I Need Love as my favorite LL song. So my second one, this is where it gets tough because you could pick pretty much any song. I like them all. But I tried to go away because I thought you guys might go with the, we'll call them basics, his bigger hits that you like. So I tried to go a different way and find some that I really liked that weren't maybe as popular. And there's one where he touches on each verse is a different thing. So he talks about hanging out with cereal characters like Lucky Charms and Sugar Smacks. And then he talks about going back in history. And one of his lines is, before Booth shot Lincoln, I stole the show. And he talks about history in that verse and just a bunch of different ones. And it's called My Rhyme Ain't Done. And again, it's cool because every verse is a different thing. He talks about the honeymooners in one verse, where if you listen to a bunch of his songs, he drops honeymooners hints quite a bit. He must have been a big honeymooners fan. Because he talks about Ralph and Norton and just other little hints about the honeymooners. But My Rhyme Ain't Done will be number 2 for me.
All right,
Good one.
I'll be that guy. I'll go ahead and take it off the board. I'll take Mama Said Knock You Out. I know it's an easy pick, but you know what else it is? It's a great song. Am I wrong?
No, the funny thing about that song, Johnson, and you could probably look this up on YouTube, that was probably the height of LL's powers, I'd say, when Mama came out. And MTV did a thing called Unplugged. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if he was the first rapper, but he went on Unplugged and did a set, and it was the Mama Said Knock You Out time. Yeah. And for those that don't know, MTV Unplugged was an acoustic version, and a lot of times they had like Nirvana on there or, just any band, but it was all acoustic. And it was really cool. Even me, who didn't really know a lot about music, thought it was pretty neat. Yeah. And he went on there, which was, I think, kind of different. I don't think a lot of rappers went on there back then. And he did Mama Said Knock You Out, and it was incredible.
Yeah. I remember that. That was badass.
Yeah. Or you could say that too. Either way.
That's your profanity.
Would it be safe to say that song, and maybe to a lesser degree that album as a whole, it is definitely what kind of made people like me that were more into rock and other genres more aware of him? Was that the one that really kind of broke him through to like I said, people like me. I'm aware he was around before them, but it just seems like he exploded with that album.
Yeah, I think he did. Bigger and Deffer was huge. It sold 2 million copies. Walking with a Panther, although it was pretty well acclaimed, it only sold 1 million copies and change. And then because people kind of thought he was done because Panther didn't top off bad like they thought it would. Like it didn't. He didn't keep hockey sticking. He kind of leveled out a little bit. And then the story of him naming the album that was he was talking to his grandmother, and he said, what am I going to do? I didn't, my last album wasn't that great. And he said, and she told him, she said, just go out there and knock them out, baby. And that's Mama Said Knock You Out became kind of the title. And yeah, that song, I think it was maybe the first single off that. That wasn't even. It was, it was the fourth release single off that, which is crazy.
Really?
Yeah. Break It Dawn, Booming System, Around the Way Girl. I'd say Around the Way Girl probably Greased the Skids. That was the third single off that album.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mama was, I think the video helped a lot too in the boxing ring and, got things going.
Yeah. So, and so like the, don't call it a comeback, that there's some weight, to that line.
Oh, yeah. Back when we talked about Van Halen, the Sammy Hagar 5150, Hello Baby.
Yeah.
Big opening line from LL right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
This is good stuff. I can't wait till we dive into the best of Hootie and the Blowfish. But no, Sags, you and I go way back with this stuff, right? I mean, back in Ripley, I mean, we would jam to this stuff, and I had the cassettes or the albums or the CDs, whatever it was, and we would play it a lot. And I don't know if you remember this story, but you called me at one time and you said, trivia question for you.
I hate you for this. I hated you.
And I said, okay. And, you didn't have the internet. You didn't search this stuff, right? So you said, I bet you don't know LL Cool J's real name. So I remember this vividly. I was in my bedroom. I was just laying on the bed, and I just said, James Todd Smith, just out of my head, right? Not even knowing. And the silence on the other end of the phone.
I almost hung up.
Yeah. Like, yeah, that's. I was like, really? I was just guessing. But no, I mean, all those albums, we would play them, and I loved all those albums. Bigger and Deffer, and Walking with a Panther was a really good one. I liked it. And you mentioned one of the songs from Mama Said Knock You Out, which was one that was right there on the verge of me picking it. But I'm going to go with the biggest hit single off of Walking with a Panther, and that's I'm That Type of Guy. Just love that song. The video was great too. Mm-hmm. He's climbing a building. He's got some woman rubbing his shoulders. He's in this little smoking jacket thing. But it was a great, great song. Like, he's basically saying, look, you're just a dork. You're a douchebag. But me, I'm that type of guy, right? To take care of the ladies. So I'm That Type of Guy is going to be my number 2 pick.
Oh, good song.
And
so good.
Number 2.
So good.
Yeah. There's a lot of good lines in that song.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny, like, I don't know what it is. It must be that album, because his cadence in that song is kind of a little similar to Going Back to Cali, where he's kind of, I'm that type of guy who will go, it's just kind of slower, and it's not, whereas some of his other songs are a little bit faster. So I really like kind of that little bit slower pace.
That cut out a little bit. Could you do that again?
No.
Don't do that.
But yeah, that was a good one. That was number 5 on my list. So I'm going to go with my second pick, with the one that we just mentioned just a second ago from Mama Said. This was number 3 on my list, and it's Around the Way Girl from Mama Said. Yeah. It's just a really cool song. The video, I remember liking that quite a bit. And again, it's just his rhyming. Yeah, his rhyming in that song is just a little slower, and it's just kind of, I don't know. It's just kind of like that style he was working with there.
Cool. Good song.
Mhm.
That was
All right.
again one of the bigger ones. I remember even non-hip hop people were like bumping that song.
Yeah. All right. So with I have another one, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So with this next one here, this is one that he had a lot of fun. I would describe as kind of fun songs where he was kind of poking fun at other people or poking fun at himself or poking fun at different situations that may have happened to him at one time or another. And when I'm thinking about this song, when I was listening to it the other day, it reminded me of another rap group that I really liked that was out around that time. And I was a big fan of the Far Side. And the way that they rhymed, and they kind of had a lot of fun in their rhymes, and they told a lot of stories, and the stories were funny. And the way they kind of bounced off of each other. And so when I was listening to this song, it reminded me of the Far Side a lot. And that's Jingling Baby from Walking with a Panther. And it's just a lot of fun, and it just reminds me of Far Side.
Good song. Again, and you're right. That is a fun song. It's got the girl. I don't know if you call it the chorus or whatever, but she's throughout the whole song. They're jingling, baby.
Go ahead, baby.
Yeah. Good song.
All right, so we cut it off at "Mama Said Knock You Out," right, with that album. I'm going to just share this. The next album he had was one of my favorites, which was 14 Shots at the Dome. I know we're not picking anything off of that, but if we were able to pick something off of that, I would have gone way off the board on that album and taken Crossroads. There's a great song on there. The very last song on that album is called Crossroads. And it's kind of this, I almost want to call it like an apocalyptic feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the guy's just coming in and he's screaming, and you hear kids screaming in the background, and it's just, kids are dying in the streets and the crossroads, and people, do it and crack in the cross, whatever it was. And then people stab you in the back at the crossroads. And it was just, when I listened to that the first time, I mean, you don't really think that much about it, but then you dive into it and you listen to the lyrics and you just kind of pay attention to it. And you see that's, I mean, really modern life and how things are terrible and how it's getting worse and worse. And it kind of leads up to that, with the great battle at the end. And, it's almost got that religious tone to it, sort of. But I just wanted to throw that in there as a little bonus for you. You didn't ask for it, but it's free, so you're welcome. So with that, my third pick is going to be Big Old Butt.
That was good.
Watch your profanity.
No description needed, just Big Old Butt. That's my third pick.
I'm sure the 12. I'm sure the 12 people that are going to watch. I'm sure the 12 people that are going to listen to this they know what it is.
Yep. I know I told you I'd be true, but Tina got a big old butt. Oh, okay.
Oh, goodness.
All right. I do own the Mama Said Knock You Out album. I've got it on CD somewhere. As far as like what's on like my phone or my iPad right now, I mean, the only 3 LL songs on there right now are Mama Said Knock You Out, Rock the Bells, and Going Back to Cali. So I knew it was a stretch that I would get all 3 of those. So a couple hours ago, I just previewed some other tracks, and one that caught my eye, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's Soft Radio, but it's You'll Rock.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That one kind of caught my fancy, so I'm going to go with that. And again, like I said, I mean, a lot of the songs that you guys have mentioned is like, oh yeah, I do remember that one. And I am. I'm going to do a deep dive on LL, but I
Good song.
like that song "You'll Rock," so I feel pretty confident, with that as my third pick.
Johnson, I think you'd probably like LL one of the most because he does incorporate so much rock.
Yeah, I know he has like a collaboration with Richie Sambora. I don't know if that's how. I would say that's probably fairly recent, but I mean, I don't know for sure, but
but he's just done a lot, even from his first, Rock the Bells, just from his first album. Like he was always into kind of, whereas a lot of hip hop artists, obviously back then, did keyboards and synthesizers, stuff like that, beats. He was definitely incorporating, I'd say music, but instruments into his music. So, well, the terrible part about this is I only get 3 choices. So I had "I'm That Type of Guy" on my list, short list. That was great. I have one. It's going to be sort of an extra one. I was going to choose "Boom System" just because I think that's just such a great car summer song. You just put that in, and if you have any kind of good speakers, you can kind of turn the bass up to 5 and kind of rock it out in your Ford Escort. But I'm gonna well, I don't know.
Sorry.
But I'm gonna go with a song that it kind of told a story, kind of like Bree said, and you didn't know the story really till the end. And I don't know if it's called a twist or whatever, but at the end you're like, oh, okay, that was pretty cool. It's called The Doo-Wop, and it's just a story about him going to play on stage, and at the end, it's like the perfect day, almost like Ice Cube's, it was a good day. It's just he gets paid to play this venue, and he goes out to eat with his friends, and he hooks up with a girl or whatever, and at the end, the last line is, "That's the very moment I woke up from the dream," and it's everything he just rapped about was a dream, and it's just like a cool again a lot like Breeze. I just like the cadence to it. It's a little slower, but again, it tells that good story. And that'll again, I tried to go off the board just a little bit, but I'll go with the doo-wop. So, yeah, but I thought you were going to choose from 14 Shots. I thought you were going to maybe choose Pink Cookies in a Plastic Bag Getting Crushed by Buildings.
That was on the list too, but we stayed away from that album. We got 10 minutes left, but yeah, I'd forgotten about that until just today when I'm looking around. I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that one. How could I forget about that? Pink Cookies in a Plastic Bag Getting Crushed by Buildings. I mean, that's a great name for a song. But he had great albums even after the ones we just talked about. 14 Shots of the Dome was great, and
Phenomenon,
yeah. I mean, right down the line, he was just just a tremendous hip hop artist. And,
his latest one, Authentic, came out in 2013. I thought it was really good.
See, I didn't hear that one.
It's really good. It's the first one he got off of Def Jam, because when he signed, they signed him to a 13-album deal. And when he put out his 10th album, that was the first Def Jam artist that had ever got to 10 albums. So it really just shows you how much record companies really kind of screwed you, because when he signed Radio, I'm sure he was willing to sign any deal. I think he was probably 19 or something. He was super young. Yeah. And, hip hop was obviously kind of new to the mainstream back then. And I'm sure Def Jam was like, well, he'll never get 13 albums. And so he put out 13, and which is funny because his last album with Def Jam is called Exit 13. And so he did Authentic on a different label. I'm not sure which one, but it's a really strong album. I really liked it. So so from 85 with Radio all the way to 2013, that's a long stretch to be relevant in hip hop.
Where does he stand today as far as in terms of I know it's kind of a loaded question to ask if kids are listening to them. But I mean, like people who like are maybe younger that are really into it and really gotten into the history of hip hop. And where does he stand as like an influence on like today's actual hip hop artists? I mean, is he a pretty big influence on them? Or
Unfortunately, I don't think so. Just because, again, I don't even know how old he is. Born in 68, so he's 52. So, I mean, Palmer, my son, he's 10. He called the olden days the 80s.
yeah,
Yeah.
He said, back in
Yeah.
the olden days. I said, when was that? He said, not like 1980. I was like,
Yeah.
wait, what? Stop.
yeah. I mean,
need to-
so, like
Hold on.
kids. I mean, they think like Dre and Snoop are like ancient, let alone
Mhm.
someone like LL.
Right. So I think his influence probably stopped with our generation, late in our generation. But in the industry, not even just the hip hop industry, I think the music industry, I think he is well recognized as probably one of the top, artists, even
Yeah.
outside of hip hop. Just,
I got you.
again, he's been doing it so long.
And what was great about that was back then, I don't know what it's like today because I don't listen to that much anymore today. But, back then you had your big hip hop rivalries, right? And LL Cool J and Cool Mo D and I was a big fan of Cool Mo D, and Sags was a huge fan of LL Cool J. And, we just went back and forth over the songs. And I love Cool Mo D. His song "I Go to Work" is still one of my favorite rap songs of all time.
I know that one.
That's a great song. All right, way to go. That's cool. All right. How You Like Me Now? I mean, those are,
Wild Wild West.
Wild Wild West. Yeah, those are.
That one too.
All right. Maybe next time, Cool Mo D Johnson.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
If I get the first two picks.
Billy Y'all always liked the second place people. He liked Dominique Wilkins, and I like Jordan, and he liked Cool Mo D, and I liked LL, and so he was always good for player B. He was always Luigi.
Here's along with those lines. Some people at work always called me B-side Phil, because I always liked the songs that, there's a popular song and then, well, what was on the B side of that? What was the flip side? And I'd pick that. I mean, I liked some of those songs. Like, well, how do you remember that song? It's like, it's a great song. Okay, B-side. Thanks.
Hey, do we know how many did Rick Rubin work on more than one album with LL as producer? I know he was at least one. Maybe I didn't know if there was a second or third.
He may have come back later. I'm looking it up real quick on Wikipedia now. He did radio, but after that, it was a lot of Russell Simmons.
Yeah. So he did do radio. Yeah, that's why. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Because
it's funny now because I'll never forget when Jay-Z's 99 Problems came out, and the video for that, he's driving around with Rick Rubin.
Yeah.
And it was so funny to me to see comments on like the YouTube video or online or wherever it was, like, who's the white guy with the beard? And I was like, man, you all should just not comment on hip hop at all if you don't know who Rick Rubin is. Like, just stop. Like, they were like dissing him and stuff. I was like, dude, like,
Did everybody freeze?
Light. And there was an awesome line in there where he's rapping about this. He's kind of dating this girl, and he's rapping and he's saying the father is talking to him about his daughter, and he's saying the father is telling him, "You better find another bowl to stick your spoon in." And I just, oh man, I heard that line and I just lost it.
That was one of those fun songs you were talking about.
Yeah.
He did a pretty good amount of. So, Milky Cereal was great. I always looked for, it was funny because after Bad and I Need Love, every time I got his albums, the first thing I would look for was something that might be a love song. And I don't know why, but he had some really good ones, like on Mama. He had 6 Minutes of Pleasure, not really a love song, I guess, but
Kinda.
I don't think he had one on that one. But I always just looked for like something that might be, again, a love song. He had 2 on Walkin', I think. You're My Heart, again, good song. I don't know why I liked them, but and then Two Different Worlds is a really good love song. So he kind of made that, I guess, a little more popular.
The other thing I thought was interesting is that he had a lot of songs about food, and most of them were kind of fun. Like Milky Cereal, and what was the one that you were talking about earlier, Sags, that had a kind of reference to food?
The Doo-Wop?
No,
Yeah.
forget Oreos, eat Cool J cookies.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that was
Bad.
bad. Yeah.
So
He's
he
notorious.
and then,
He'll crush you like a jelly bean.
and then the song. Wanted to see what you thought about the song. Another song I liked, I was listening to the other day, was Candy.
Mm.
That was a good song. That was another fun song that had some like food references and stuff in it. And then Jason, I don't know if you like this song as well. I did, because the title grabbed me. The song "Mr. Goodbar" was
Yeah.
another fun one.
Yeah.
His early albums, especially, like just this morning, I just listened to Bad on the way to work this morning, and man, he had some absolute bangers. Again, even in Panther, he had Dropping Them, Clap Your Hands, just songs that are like get you go. Phenomenon, I know it's a later album, but like he always had like 1 or 2, usually more, of songs that were just like hype, that I think get lost, unfortunately, now. I love Boom and System. I think that's a great song. So,
another song we haven't even mentioned yet is "Can't Live Without My Radio." I think that was a pretty decent hit for him as well, that we haven't even mentioned yet.
what's funny is when you go back and you look at the length of songs, that's what caught me.